Okay, hi. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yes, my name is Solomon Kamajan. I'm the president and founder of SCMB Educational Consulting. I'm a hip-hop inspired activist. I'm an author. I'm an educational consultant. And what I mean by hip-hop inspired activist, it was hip-hop culture in the mid-'80s to the late '80s and early '90s within the golden era of hip-hop that inspired me to be more actively engaged, more civically engaged in my community, not just locally, not just nationally, but also internationally.
Okay, that's very nice. You mentioned that you are the founder of SCMB Educational Consulting. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is and what kinds of lectures and workshops do you facilitate?
Yeah, sure. SCMB Educational Consulting was founded in 2003, and it was founded out of a dire need to use hip-hop in many of the ways that hip-hop was used with me. Hip-hop, as I said before, it inspired me to become an activist, but also hip-hop inspired me to become a scholar. The artists that I was listening to, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Public Enemy, Queen Latifah, these are all artists that within their lyrics spoke outside of the proverbial box, and they pushed their listeners to question more, but also to understand more. They pushed the artists, they exposed the artists to information, history, and as well as geopolitical to things that were of a social nature, social issues. Pushed their listeners to think about these things from a critical eye. And so the more I became exposed to these artists and their lyrics, the more I started to push myself and challenge myself to look into these issues, look into the history that they're providing. So within SCMB Educational Consulting, basically what I do with SCMB Educational Consulting is do a myriad of lectures for parents, teachers, students, elementary school, all the way to college students, and obviously with each demographic, if it's elementary school students, the information is it's pretty much the same information, but it's packaged into a more tangible way that elementary school age kids can grasp that information, but not watering it down, not changing the information in any shape, form, or fashion. With college students, it's different. It's more so on lecture style, but it's using hip hop to basically as a point of departure to expose audiences to everything from history to media literacy to social issues. But with kids, with elementary, middle school, high school kids, I oftentimes use it within workshop style format to help students become more academically enthusiastic, or more enthusiastic about their academics, I should say. Pushing them to become, more thought conscious about being civically engaged and those kind of things. And we have workshops where it puts students in a position where it taps into their outside of the classroom curriculum, their outside of classroom interests, hip-hop culture, even video games, even athletics, using these tools as resources to help students hone into the vast amount of mental prowess and academic prowess that they have that they might not have seen in themselves beforehand. And then the other aspect of that is training teachers and parents how to incorporate the myriad workshops and activities that SCMB Educational Consulting has, how they can incorporate that within their classrooms, whether the classroom is in their homes or whether the classroom is a conventional classroom setting within their schools.
Oh, that's very good, because I know that most students, they always say that the traditional curriculum is boring, and it's kind of difficult to stay focused, right, in class. But
I'm real quick, I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, I don't believe that education, in order for education to be effective, it has to be rigid. I think that's something that we have to bury that with some of those old practices. I think that education can be challenging, it can be effective, it can reach its desired efficacy while being engaging, while being entertaining in some ways. But so it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be rigid to be engaging. You can engage, and I think that's the best way to educate folks, especially young people, is to engage them, engage them and to tap into things that are all around them. I think that's the job as educators, is that we have to, whether we're formal educators or just educators from the sense of being parents, we have to pull in things from the environment, pull into things that young people gravitate towards on a daily basis, and find a way to incorporate that in some kind of teaching role, or some kind of method where teaching becomes, more fluid and more, more something that's just basically second nature, and then the learning will be second nature. And then lastly, with the college students, when I do lectures at colleges and universities, and even for organizations, folks will bring me in, and I'll do lectures using hip hop as a tool, as a point of departure to deconstruct social issues, everything from economic inequity to institutional racism, to social issues, using hip hop, because they may not be played on the corporate mainstream, but right now in 2011 and beyond, there are hip hop songs, there are rap songs that are out right now, done by artists worldwide that deconstruct myriad social issues. Like I said, economic inequity, globalization, institutional racism. These are all things in history. These are all things that I use hip-hop as a point of departure to bring audiences closer to a much broader understanding. Media consolidation, media literacy, these are all things that I use hip-hop to help engage my audiences, whether it's young or older.
Yeah, because as you were talking, I was thinking like hip-hop actually uses multimodal and digital technology just to incorporate learning, so that's really good.
Right. You
also mentioned that you do workshops with teachers and with students, so could you tell us like where the places that you have been and been invited to share your work and information?
Yeah, I mean, I love working with parents and teachers and other educators, within the different workshops and lectures that I do, because it gives me an opportunity to give to them some of the best practices that have worked with me, since I've been doing this, formally since 2003, and so they can now become those practitioners, and then they can put their own signature, their own fingerprint on it. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same way Solomon Kamajan does it. But it can give them some ideas in terms of how they can put their own fingerprint and use things, even incorporate different musical genres, different activities, different kinds of extracurricular interests to cull, some of the learning models and basically the end game that they want to seek with their students. So some of the places I've been I've been to Seattle, Washington. I worked with their public educational system in the Seattle, Washington area. I've been to Oakland, California, Contra Costa County. I've been to San Francisco, California. I've been to Norway. Obviously, I've been to D.C., Baltimore, Washington D.C., Baltimore areas, and it seems like everywhere in between. Virginia. So many different places I've had the opportunity. I've been fortunate enough to be invited to do lectures, whether it's for public educational school systems or just organizations that want to bring me in for a keynote lecture or something like that. I really take these kind of opportunities very seriously, because I believe that information should be available and accessible to everybody. I really truly believe information should be free to everybody and should be available to the masses. And so when I go out, to me, not only is it an opportunity for me to share information that I have, some of the best practices that I use with SCMB Educational Consulting, some of the best practices that I use with some of the work that I do in the community, but also it allows me to receive some information, because whenever you do a workshop, at least whenever I do a workshop or a lecture, it gives me the opportunity to take some information from the audience, because that's my favorite part, is the interactive component of these workshops. They're highly interactive, and it allows me to receive information from different parents, teachers, students, audience members, community members, that are, will chime in and, give their 2 cents in terms of a range of things, and that gives me an opportunity to really evolve as an educator myself.
Okay, so what does it take to bring you then to a school or an event? What are your rates like?
Well, that's an excellent question. What it takes for people to bring me to their school, to their city, to their town, their college, their university, is just to get on the phone, give me a call. You can go to scmbconsulting.com, or you can go to SolomonCommerson.com. That's SolomonCommission.com. You can email me at scmbconsulting@hotmail.com. That's scmbconsulting@hotmail.com. Email me, contact me, and we'll make it happen. We will make it happen. I don't say any rates because, you know what, I work with anyone's budget. The biggest thing is helping me get there. Helping me get there. If it's out of state, if it's out of the country, helping me fly there and have a place to lay my head. And if we people can do that, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. And as I said before, it's a passion of mine to do these things, and I feel very, very fortunate to each time I'm invited. So that's the biggest thing. So I ask anybody that's interested to just go ahead and contact me. Email me, and where there's a will, there's a way. We'll find a way to make it happen. So.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.